I bet you did. Good evening. Good evening. I call this regular meeting of the Board of Education to order at 7:04 p.m. Please call the roll.
Ms. Pearson?
Present.
Mr. Rollins?
Here.
Ms. Muhammad? Mrs. McCulloch?
Here.
Mr. Siegel?
Here.
Mr. Connor?
Here.
Ms. Stanford?
Here.
With 6 present, 1 absent, we have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll take a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to remind everybody that the mission of the Rockford Public Schools is to collaboratively engage all students in a first-class education for a changing world. And before we go any further, I'd like to send a thank you to Connor Childers. He works behind the scenes to produce the board's broadcast via YouTube live stream and Comcast Channel 20. We are going to start with a celebration of Rockford Public Schools by Zach Larson from Jefferson High School's publication. If you'd come to the podium, thank you. You'll have to turn that on.
Good now? Perfect. All right. Hi there, I'm Zach Larson. I'm the publications teacher at Jefferson. This is my 4th year teaching at Jefferson. And I actually graduated from Jefferson back in 2010, and I'm joined by
Andrea Vasquez, and I actually had Mr. Larson for 3 years already, my freshman, and I'm a junior now. And yeah.
All right, so we're going to start our presentation with a quick video clip from one of our broadcasts.
Hello and welcome to Jefferson TV. I'm Martavius McDonald.
And I'm Andrea Vasquez. Here's what's happening at Jefferson this week. This week, senior pictures are Monday through Thursday. You must sign up for an appointment at prestigeportraits.com.
Band students are hosting a winter concert in the auditorium. It is on December 9th at 7 p.m. They put a lot of effort in preparing for this performance, so bring your friends and family to show gratitude.
All Integrated Science 2 classes are having an egg draw contest. The champions will be rewarded with prizes. If you're able to donate tape, newspaper, toilet paper rolls, plastic straws, cardboard, or string, drop them off at room 307.
The Rock Valley Admissions Counselor is going to be here this Wednesday in the Academy office room during all lunch hours. Please see them if you have any questions about Rock Valley College majors or the application process.
Let's throw it over to Isabella and Bree for sports.
Thanks, Andrea. Let's start with some bowling this week. This Tuesday, our boys and girls bowling team will take on Belvedere North at Cherry Bowl at 4 p.m.
Boys swim and dive have a meet at Boylan at 4:45 against Boylan and Guilford. Girls basketball plays Belvedere North at home. JV at 5:45 and varsity at 7.
All right, so Jefferson TV is a weekly TV broadcast that we kind of share with the whole community of Jefferson, and we encourage teachers to show it in their second hour so that each student in the building gets to see it throughout the day, and then we also publish it to YouTube as well. Andrea is going to tell you about how we started.
Well, it was an empty space. Everything was already prepared, and we wanted to try something new, so we were just there acting all funny, and then we actually went through it, and we edited it, and it just came as something normal. I'm an editor, so I actually edit this video, I believe. I'm also anchor, and sometimes I direct depending if our actual director is there. But it's actually really fun. I actually look really forward to it every week, and it's really fun, and I'm really grateful to have this opportunity.
Yeah, so a couple milestones that we've accomplished so far this year. We started in October. So this week we published our 17th episode. We have 150 subscribers on YouTube, woohoo. And we've had 4,500 views. And that doesn't count the 30 kids in every single classroom that watch it every day, which is really outstanding. And I'm proud to say I'm actually on paternity leave right now. My kids have been running it themselves for 3 weeks. It's incredible, and a huge shout out to them for making that happen. Yeah. So as the rest of the year progresses, some of our goals to keep a weekly episode pace. It's hard to turn this around in 1 week, and making sure we have awesome content. And the goal is to improve our workflow and then make sure that we can increase coverage of all the things that are going on at Jefferson and in our community. So thanks for letting us present today. Does anyone have questions while we're here?
Go ahead.
All right. Great. Thank you very much.
Actually, I don't have any questions, but I'm not sure that I'm going to have the time to make a comment about this later. That was really, really easy to watch. And I discovered a long time ago that things that are easy to digest, whether you're reading it, watching it, eating it, indicates that there was a lot of preparation that went into it, a lot of effort, and that's something that you don't get to see the behind-the-scenes part of that. But practicing the script, being able to edit this, put it together, get everybody where they need to be, when they need to be there, looked great. You did a fantastic job. So it's a good indication of our students learning. Sorry. Just ate some chocolate. Of our students learning some really important skills. So great work.
Also, I want to add, we actually had someone from San Diego from Fox News that came to us. So it was really inspiring to see someone that actually does it. And we met her, and it was really great. And we did some promos with her, and it was really fun. So it's really cool doing this.
Yeah, that was Samantha Rivera from... she worked for WTVO here in Rockford for a few, but she actually came back to Rockford and came and talked to our class. So it was awesome.
Good work.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Daddy.
Thank you very much.
Go home and enjoy your baby, and thank you so much. So we'll have at the beginning of board meetings moving forward, just, we have people signed up. Communications department has worked to fill the schedule, and there are people from all the schools who would like to be here. So we'll just have a quick one from different schools throughout the rest of the year, and we'll look forward to those because it gives us a connection for all the work we're doing business-wise with people that are in the schools and working every day. So thank you again for being here.
Please don't take my job.
Who would take his job? Anyways, and thank you again to Communications for putting that together. We're now at the petitions and communications portion of our meeting, where we invite the public to make comments. The Illinois School Code requires there will be a time at regular and special meetings for public comment. The board will not respond to comments at this time. If it is appropriate, you'll be contacted in a timely manner by staff in response to your questions. Each speaker will be allowed no more than 2 minutes to address the board, and it's not appropriate to address individual board members or individual administrators or to discuss matters that would otherwise be confidential in such open meetings. If you look at your left, you'll see 2 digital clocks. One shows the total time allotted to public comments, and one shows the total time for each speaker. We thank you for your interest and your cooperation with our guidelines. Our first speaker is Ronald Simmons. Rachel Medeiros will be next.
My name is Ronald Simmons. I'm a father, I'm a grandfather, and I'm a husband. I have my wife and my 4 kids who were graduates of the Rockford Public School System. 4 of my kids were in the CALPA and the Gifted program. I worked years ago with the district with the choice program. I have a sister that was a principal in the middle school and in the regular high school in Rockford School District. So I'm here to encourage the board to hire teachers of color. And in looking at the data and the research that we have, we know that there's approximately 1,600 teachers in the school district, 1,600 teachers. Of those 1,600 teachers, I think that 70 of them are people of color. And of those 70 that are people of color, 4.7% are black. So we're here to encourage the board to look into hiring teachers of color. So we want you to actively do that, because we know that we've been doing that, but we don't know how actively the board has been at doing that. We also would like the board to actively advertise, to interview and recruit teachers of color. We would also like you to provide incentives for teachers of color. And that means for teachers of color to come to the district, our incentive for those teachers that are in the district. We say that because if you do that, then we have a feasible policy, or you could have a feasible policy of retention of teachers within the district. So once you get a teacher, we would like for you to retain them, and we would like to retain the teachers that we already have in the district. We want you to look at mentoring. We figure that if teachers of color could mentor teachers of color, that we could get more teachers in the district to stay in the district and retain them in the district. And finally, one of the things that we would like for you to do is to develop an internal program where elementary, middle school, and high school students would be encouraged to become teachers of color. Now, we know from the research that if a child that's in the kindergarten up to the 5th grade sees a teacher of color in the classroom, he is more likely to graduate from high school and college. So my theory is that if you can see one, you can be one. So we'd like to see more teachers of color in the district for our students to see in the district so they can become teachers of color within the district. So we implore the board. We implore the board to do their job. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Rachel Medeiros, followed by Ricky Naylor.
Hi there. It was really hard for me to prepare 2 minutes. I'm a teacher in the Rockford district, and I've been an educator for over 20 years. And I'm telling you right now from my experiences, we have a mental health crisis in our schools. I'm a middle school teacher. These children are acting out in ways that we have never seen. There is violence. There is just simply behaviors that we don't normally see. We can't do enough to help them. It is a 24/7 round-the-clock job that we're doing the best we can when we have them in our halls and in our building. We can't do it alone. We are heartbroken. We are frustrated. We are defeated. We feel that we are failing our children every day, because when we have 30-plus kids in a classroom with many, many needs, we can't reach them all and teach content. And we all know that when needs aren't met, learning is not going to happen. We can't do it without more people and more help. And I appreciate all that you've done. I know the calls of action that are out there. I've seen the things that the board is doing, and I will tell you, my school, RISA, is wonderful at people taking up the jobs that need to be done whenever they need to be done, and we're all trying. I'm on many different committees at the building, but the problem is we can only go so far. We're being spread very thin, and that is hurting no one but those kids. Of course, us too, but them more than us, because they are developmentally losing ground as we continue to debate and make sure we get things taken care of in the future. They're hurting right now. They cry out to us with their behaviors. We can't get to them all. My reason for being here is simply for them. They can't come to tell you. They need more than we have. Thank you for your time.
Ricky Naylor, followed by Terry Gano.
Good afternoon, everybody. Okay, I'm just going to cut right through it. This school district talks a lot about DEI, 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 DEI. But in practice, you practice whiteness, you practice exclusion, you practice inequality. Look around this room here right now. Do you see equity in this room? Look, where the equity at? The reason you don't have equity here is because, first of all, you don't respect people of color. Because if you respected the people of color, you would hire them. Now, he mentioned about those teachers. The reason why you can't hire black teachers is because they know this is a burning house. Dr. King once said that he said, I believe that I integrated my people into a burning house. That's what this is right here, the burning house. That's why they won't come in. They already know that this district here is not welcoming people of color, so that's why they don't come. You know, you go around all the time trying to get black teachers, and they keep telling you no, because something's got to change here. So it don't make no difference about y'all going in the community with all this other nonsense, all these PowerPoints every week. Until something really changes in here, you're never going to hire no black teachers. That's a fact. Another thing I want to address is these expulsions. You guys don't know nothing about these parents. You got grandparents raising these kids, and then you guys expel them, and you expect these people now to adjust to that. You got a lady right now saying her kids, the grandkids expelled, and you guys expelled them, and she said, I can't drive to work and then deal with this kid too. So when you guys making these decisions about the expulsions, to you guys, these are nothing but numbers. Like you got numbers. These are real lives here. They're not just numbers. So when you guys do expel these kids, knowing that it's going to be more than just a number on a piece of paper. So think about that. I know y'all white and privileged. You don't understand that about the black community. So to me, you don't hire black staff to tell you about the black community. So think about that next time you guys go in that back room and say, all these black kids got to go get expelled. That's the exclusion.
Thank you. Terry Gano.
I'll write my number down.
My name is Terry Gano, and I'm a happily retired teacher from RPS. Some facts to think about. Black students make up 31.7% of all the students here in Rockford. That's the highest percentage of all student groups. However, the graduation rate for black students is 49%, lowest in the district. The dropout rate for black students is 10.8%, highest in the district. Black students have a chronic absentee rate of 27%, highest in the district. Of the students who qualify for IEPs, black students make up 38% of those students. When it comes to discipline, black students make up 51% of all in-school suspensions, 55% of all out-of-school suspensions, and 80% of all expulsions, which are all the highest in the district. All this information paints a scenario which should be unacceptable for the community of Rockford and all of the students in the educational system, especially our black students. Research shows that the positive impact that black principals and teachers have on student discipline. Black principals are more likely to hire black teachers. Black teachers are more likely to remain in their positions with schools that have black principals. Evidence suggests that positive math grades occur for black students under a black principal. Additional research shows that having black principals and black teachers helps to reduce discipline referrals among black students in all of our schools. There's also evidence that shows that qualified black teachers are more likely to pursue becoming a school principal than their white colleagues. According to a report from Indiana University, black students are 3 times more likely to be placed in gifted programs if they have a same-race teacher. So we need more principals and teachers of color in our schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
Am I last?
You are. Thank you for turning that off. I appreciate it. All right. We're not on to board member comments. Do any of the board members have comments? Ms. Pearson?
Thank you. I need to backtrack just a little bit because I neglected to mention, acknowledge some non-tenured teachers at Lewis Lemon. I had an opportunity to have a brief observation of some classrooms, and I want to acknowledge Ms. Abeni Copeland and Ms. Burnell, who are non-tenured teachers and is doing a very good job in their role. I also visit a veteran, no doubt, Mrs. Starla Copeland's class, and the classroom control was absolutely remarkable. It was like stepping into a different time zone. And so I wanted to acknowledge them. I also want to acknowledge Mr. Jim Parker, the principal of East High School, for his leadership skills and advocacy. And I see the narrative of our district changing. And those of you who do not know Mr. Parker, you can go to the website to identify him. And I think he did a remarkable job advocating for African Americans. And I want to make sure that he is acknowledged for that. And when I receive positive feedback, I like to share it. I also want to acknowledge our Director of HR, Matt Zedeker, for his HR skills and de-escalation, and that is very much appreciated. And that is all I have in terms of acknowledgement today. Thank you. And to the community, thank you for being here.
Mr. Rollins?
I guess we can't expect people to listen to everything that we talk about or know everything that we're doing. The discussion about hiring more teachers of color is a decade-old conversation. We've had working groups, we've had committees. The problem is the teachers don't look like the students, but they do look like the product of the universities. They look like the people who are coming out with teaching degrees, who are getting certified as teachers, who are overwhelmingly white and female. In addition, some of the colleges that produce the most black teachers are historically black colleges and universities, many of which are in the South. We have sent recruiters down there. We have tried to recruit out of them. And I will say, just as a professional in Rockford, you can't recruit professionals to Rockford of any color. You can't recruit engineers, you can't recruit doctors, you can't recruit lawyers, you can't recruit teachers from out of the area. They have other opportunities. They mostly go to big cities. So those are the things that we've been struggling with. The people you're going to recruit are mostly going to be people within our metropolitan area, and we're not producing enough people of color who are getting teaching degrees. And we came to that conclusion years ago, several years ago, and the district has, in fact, implemented programs that, I'll use the phrase grow your own, but it's not the right phrase, to try to create an interest in students in Rockford, in the Rockford Public Schools, to become teachers, and then we are supporting them financially in getting their teaching degrees. And I'm not the right person to give you all the numbers on that. Maybe Dr. Jarrett can step in, but we are starting to produce those teachers. Many of them are students of color. We've partnered with Rockford University and I think Northern Illinois University to do that. We have made a significant financial commitment, investment over the past few years, and are continuing to make that significant financial investment to do that. One of our newer staff members, Dr. Tiffany Brunson, has jumped into trying to identify and build interest in that program. And in her first year on the job, she seems to be producing some positive effect in getting more students involved in that. The other program that we are implementing is we're looking at some of our staff members who are not certified teachers, and we're working with universities. I think NIU is probably who we're working with, to try to develop a program and create a program that makes it easier for them to become certified teachers, because we know that some of these staff members are very good with children. If we could find a path for them to become a teacher, that would be another way to do it. So we're not ignoring the problem. We've had lots of conversations about the problem. The problem is not unique to Rockford, and when it comes to recruiting professionals from outside the area, it's not even unique to people who are black. It's just getting increasingly difficult to recruit people from outside this area who are willing to come to a northern climate with bad winters and in kind of a Rust Belt community, in a mid-sized community. So those are the headwinds that we're facing. They are real headwinds. We are trying to address them, and probably long term, the best way to do that is what we're doing, which is this: try to identify people locally that we can grow and can become teachers. The other thing that I was going to comment on, although I think she left, the other speaker who said that our children are facing mental health challenges, and we know that too. And we have just approved a month or two ago a contract with Rosecrans to try to get a mental health specialist into every school in the district. These are tough times, and we're doing what we can.
Dr. Jarrett, did you have any numbers off the top of your head that you want to share about those programs?
I don't have any off the top of my head that have been finalized, but I really do want to give Dr. Brunson and her team a great deal of credit. She has a 5-person team that is working really hard at recruiting, and also the NIU LEAP program. We have 20 cohort members that are going to start in the month of May. That is going to be a really powerful strategy to increase the both quality and diversity of our teaching force. That should be 20 per year, and we have a very reflective population of teachers there in terms of African American, Latino representation. The RU pathway, we have been very successful historically with recruiting Latino teachers. This year, under Dr. Brunson's leadership and her team's leadership, I do think we've made a real breakthrough with this upcoming cohort. We have 36 potential candidates right now, and I think the community will be very pleased once we finalize what that cohort looks like, although it would be premature to announce it before university admission is finalized. But very encouraging preliminary results in terms of really dramatically increasing interest in the program. So thank you, Mr. Rollins, for acknowledging the work in both of those areas.
Is Dr. Brunson here? Would she want to?
She is not. She is attending a professional conference and is not available this evening.
Okay. Well, thank you. Any other board members? Mr. Siegel.
We are also going to see tonight something I think we're likely to approve, which is a program to address the mental health needs of our students. We recently had a program to give access to more mental health supports to our adults. This is going to cover our students. They are going to be guided towards these mental health services, which they and we know that they need. And access is going to be given, and very broad, very generous access is going to be given. It's not going to solve our problem overnight. It's not going to mean that by the end of the school year, all of our problems will go away. But it is a very good step. It is something that our students, our teachers, all of our community definitely needs. And we're trying to meet those needs.
All right. Thank you, board members. We're now on to the superintendent's comments. Dr. Jarrett, the floor is yours.
I do not have any comments for this evening. Thank you, Mrs. McCauley.
Moving along, we're at action items that proceeded through the Internal-External Stakeholder Relations Committee. Is there a motion and a second to approve number 6A, the MOU with the Rockford Police Department titled Handle with Care?
Second.
Okay. Is there any conversation or yes, Mr.
I'll just say I asked logistical questions last time about security and all the rest, but Ms. Stanford said last time, and I agree, this is one of the best programs we've had, and certainly the feedback we got from the schools has been very good, that this could make a big difference in children's lives, and so we're really pleased to work on this. And basically it's to identify children that have had traumatic experiences, and so that the staff is aware of that the day that it occurs. So I would say this is a good program. And again, on the logistical side, I think a really good planning was done in terms of security and keeping the record safe and just the efficiency behind the program. So I give the administration, the IT, and the education side a lot of credit. This was well done.
Thank you. I'd like to support it too. I hope that our district will be able to work with, as I said previously, we have county, we have Cherry Valley, we have students actually up in Loves Park, we have them all over that won't be included. These are just students that live in the city itself. So hopefully it'll be important enough that they'll step up. Those municipalities and law enforcement will work with us in the same way. Seeing no other lights, I'll ask the coordinator to call the roll.
Excuse me?
Oh, I apologize. Thank you so much. Please always speak up. Okay, so go ahead, Ms. Pearson.
Thank you. So I also appreciate this initiative as well. I would like to add that handling our students with care should be a standard of practice. And I certainly look forward to the outcome of discipline to change with this being in place. I personally feel that because there is not a connection and behaviors can't necessarily be tracked or pinpoint, that we may miss opportunities to handle with care when needed. So I look forward to this initiative also bringing change. Thank you.
Maybe it should be handled with extra care. So, all right. Any other lights? Seeing none, would the coordinator please call the roll on 6A, the MOU with Rockford Police Department?
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
The motion passes with 6 yeses, 1 absent.
Thank you. We're now on to action items that proceeded through the planning. Oh, wait a minute. Mr. Siegel, do you have any follow-up?
There was no follow-up, and I am sorry that I missed the meeting last week.
For a good reason. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to action items that proceeded through planning and development. So in the year following each decennial census, the school board must reapportion the RPS subdistricts to reflect the results of the census. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the reapportioned districts as recommended by administration?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I don't even know. We had discussion during committee of the whole. I mean, this isn't a consent. Is there anybody who'd like to say something, Mr.?
We still have to have a discussion.
Well, I'm opening it for you.
Yeah. So I will just say out loud yet again, those of you that were here at the committee of the whole heard me, and I will say it again, that the districts still look gerrymandered. I know that they follow certain rules. I would ask everybody to go look at them. Don't believe me. Go look and see what the shape of the districts are. So I will just say there's literally nothing. I asked if there could be a change, and there's really no practical way to do it. But I said last week, and I hope enough of a person of my word to say I will complain about this forever, or at least until a year from April, and not like it. But there you go.
Anyone else have anything they wish to add? Ms. Pearson.
I'm actually still trying to understand, being that there was time permitted. We had a discussion last week, and we came to a decision that is typically, so if we came to a decision, and why are we still voting? And if the voting is significant, why didn't we wait until this week and have the discussion and vote?
Well, the conversation, we had 4 people here, and 2 people wanted to have it go back to the administration with different metrics. I think we talked about the percentage because, for example, your sub-district had, what, 25, and Mr. Connors might be the one that had 29. But we had 2 people that wanted to send it back and 2 people that didn't. And a tie vote is a no. And so it didn't go back. That's the reason it didn't.
Okay, so that is my point. Why were we voting in the committee of the whole? That's not standard practice.
It's not a vote on the record. It is consensus, and we did not have consensus to send it back.
Thank you.
I used the wrong word. I'm sorry. Okay. So for those of you who weren't here, there was a conversation about that, and my point, and I was one of the ones who wanted to send it back, was because there was a 10% number given, so plus or minus 10% for each of the sub-districts, and I had thought it could easily have been 5%, but it would have required moving many more boundaries than had to be moved. So it was more disruptive to the voters, which I still contend really don't care because most of them don't know where their sub-districts end. So, but this is where we're at. So seeing no more lights, I'm going to ask the coordinator to call the roll.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
No.
The motion passes with 5 yeses, 1 no, 1 absent.
In order to ensure the term limits remain staggered, the board is required by statute to publicly, by lot, draw the new term limits for each sub-district. This is done by separating the term limits into 2 groups. Group 1 will be for successive terms of 2 years, 4 years, and 4 years. Group 2 will be for successive terms of 4 years, 4 years, and 2 years. Attorney Goldsmith will have each member draw their new sub-district term from the green hat in honor of the upcoming St. Patrick's Day. See, and everybody thinks legal is so cut and dry. They're fun.
I think we rock, paper, scissors this.
Ooh, can we trade?
Well, Cameron would get the last one, correct? So Ms. Fromm could take Cameron's.
You want me to go read them?
Should we each read ours? Yeah. We'll just each read ours. That's fine. Mr. Connor.
I am group 1, which is 244, meaning 2 years, then 4 years, then 4 years.
Okay. Mr. Browlins.
244.
Group 1, 244. Ms. Pearson.
Group 2, 4, 4, 2.
Ms. Stanford.
Group 2, 442.
Mr. Siegel.
I just got this note that says go away. I'm group 2, 442.
Which would make me group 1, 244. And Ms. Cameron will be?
She is group 2, 442.
Okay. So we do now vote to accept those. Did you, Mr. Rollins, you're pointing at something.
I just don't remember, people doing stub terms at the end. I thought we just did the stub terms at the beginning. Is that right? It is right?
Mm-hmm. I don't remember.
Yes.
That's
no,
right.
The last time around you.
Microphone.
Oh.
I only ever remember the very first one. You get a 2 or a 4.
So there were people who this past election ran for 2-year terms?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I was one of them. Yeah, I got Mike Harner's the last of his term, and then a 2-year.
Okay.
should mark that for the record that Mr. Rollins didn't read.
Do you need these back?
Because you remember everything.
No, you can frame that, but.
Yeah, you can put it on your wall, like your concert ticket.
I will frame it along with the shape of my district. I'll put the two together.
Along with what?
There you have it.
I said with the shape of the district.
We need a motion.
If you know what gerrymandering is, you'll love the way
All right.
F
So
and
believe it or
G
not,
look.
we have to vote to accept these. So I would entertain yes.
There's nothing there.
So moved.
I would
Second.
entertain a motion to accept the groups.
Ms. Pearson said yes,
So
she
moved.
moved, and I said second.
You seconded it. Thank you. Would you like to discuss this anymore? Or?
For the record, I'll say again,
All
that
right.
I'm going to take my weird-shaped
gotta.
district, and I
Got it.
expect Ms. Stanford to do the same, and I'm going to staple it to it.
All right. I'll ask the coordinator to call the roll.
Mrs. McCullough?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Sure, yeah.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
The motion passes with 6 yeses, 1 absent.
I remember doing this 10 years ago, and I got the same one. So we're consistent.
Well, if you want to trade this time.
Yeah, we always try. We don't get to do that, but all right. So we're done with the fun for tonight, I guess, right? Because now we're going on to preliminary budget requests. So Mr. Slife will be presenting the proposed transportation department budget, followed by Ms. Kohler, who is going to propose the nutrition budget. The floor is yours, Mr. Slife.
I will argue that the budget is fun.
The budget is fun. Mike's mom was a fun teacher, too.
She was. That's what I hear. So, all right. Make sure I work here. So our goal in transportation is fiscal and operational stewardship. Our transportation team is outlined in the slides. The biggest significant change was adding Jeff Sherman, our director, and his immediate area is listed on our second slide. So he has over our terminal manager and our safety officer, so routing, safety, and dispatch. So transportation highlights, we're still maintaining the entire district fleet or moving towards that. We've hired on so far an additional 33 drivers. We started at 142, if we remember, at the beginning of the school year. We're currently at 175, and our goal is still 200. And then we had a work-based learning experience in the shop area. Students came from Roosevelt and spent the day learning aspects of our maintenance area. They're planning on coming again in the spring. It's nice to add our touch to the educational experience. It was a good time for the students as well. Our solution for our budget, our salaries and benefits are increasing. The contractual increases in insurance, and then the continuation of various bonuses that we have in there. In purchase services, we have a small increase, but it does include a very large one in there for Sunrise. They have a 5% increase, but we had savings in our repair and maintenance area and then our school bus insurance because we have less buses. Supplies is much lower, and that's due to our diesel and oil, which I'll explain on the next slide. And then capital has a large reduction. We don't have our school buses in the FY23 budget, but we did an advanced spend in 22. The $2 million that is in there is for our building renovation, and then bus lifts and our air compressor. So I detailed it out, but Sunrise has the 5%, so projected out to $8 million. Just a reminder that that does not include the early childhood portion of it. And then I'm kind of scared to talk about diesel and oil tonight with everything going on in the world, but we have gone from 260 buses down to 200, and we have left our fuel budget until this year up there at that level. So we've had a mostly normal year running the 200 buses. We were able to dive down into actual spending and usage. So we've come out to where we think we're going to go. But yeah, we may have to look at it a little bit later. So I just looked at February's bills. We weren't over $3.08 for a gallon of diesel. So our purchasing is doing well. So I'll report back for March probably. So we don't have any new transportation requests for FY23. And our return on investment is helping to make a difference in children's lives by safely delivering them to and from school. So any questions?
Mr. Rollins?
Not really a question, but if I remember correctly, I just wanted to let the board know, Mr. Slife had said that we did an advanced spend to buy buses, but we ended up buying gently used buses. Is that correct?
They are gently used. They're 2 years old, and they should have about 15,000 miles on them per vehicle when we get them.
Because we could not get new buses?
Yeah, the lead time on a new bus is almost a year right now, which is kind of ridiculous. And then they've upped the price about $20,000 per bus.
Mm-hmm.
So we're hoping that evens out and goes down.
Where are they coming from?
Geneva, I believe.
I just wondered who wasn't.
It's a smaller district. They don't travel as much, and they rotate their buses on a 2-year lease cycle. So,
did you say you were going to talk about oil or gas? I mean, because when we do this, and purchasing department, I mean, talk about a contract for oil and gas and how that works for our district. Can you?
So last year we went out for bid on fuel, and I think it was the year before that on oil, if I'm correct. But we go through and we submit. Obviously, we don't get taxed, and they go through and they give us a certain percentage over and it's called OPUS, and I don't have what that is off the top of my head. But oil, petroleum makers regulations. So we paid just a certain penny per gallon over, so it stays relatively low.
Okay, and we're not adding more, but because we have 60 less buses, we think we're going to be okay, but who knows?
We should be just fine, but now that we're having our slight increase here going on, we will revisit, but it should be okay.
Okay. Be nice if it was slight, but...
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? All right, we'll move on to nutrition services. Thank you so much.
All right.
Good evening. Do I advance this? All right. Awesome. So similar to transportation, our goal is also Go 5, which is fiscal and operational stewardship. And my name is Colleen Kohler. I am the new Executive Director of Nutrition Services as of November. This is my admin team on the board here. We have operational professional, manager of finance, as well as our manager of operations. And he directly oversees our 7 field supervisors. And then, of course, we have a number of nutrition services employees out in the schools. All right, so a couple highlights. Over the last school year, we have been upgrading our equipment and our cafeteria tables. Some of the equipment that we have upgraded has been combi ovens, carts of many shapes and sizes, mobile heated cabinets, hot holding units, refrigerators, freezers, steamers, etc., totaling about $375,000. And that's something that we are going to continue to do going forward in the next fiscal year, so you will see those numbers as we continue on. In addition, we have replaced all the cafeteria tables in Carlson, Risa, Eisenhower, and Lincoln, and that is totaled about $275,000. So those were kind of our high priority schools in terms of needing new tables. And once again, that's a goal that we will continue to have going forward. We want to do a few schools every year. The other exciting thing that we are kind of in the midst of right now is a new software for nutrition services. We are currently in the process of doing a Tier 1 PDSA for that, so you'll probably see that soon. And this will upgrade not only our POS system, which we currently have, but we will be able to implement a menu planning system, inventory software, as well as a parent portal, which is going to be really great because parents, students, and staff are going to be able to look at calories in all of our meals. They're going to be able to filter out allergens, and it's going to create a little bit more transparency with our menus, something that we need in this district. The other thing I wanted to highlight is since onboarding myself and something we're going to continue going forward is promotions and marketing. So last year's nutrition services model was very different. We were feeding students off the back of buses and delivering meals. We were sending meals home with students, like breakfast overnight. And this year we have returned somewhat to the regular routine of nutrition services, which is students coming through the breakfast line, students coming through the lunch line, and eating in the cafeteria. So something that we're really trying to do is build excitement around our programs again and get students back in our cafeterias and excited to eat with us. So we're doing things like celebrating national food holidays. This week is actually National School Breakfast Week, so we're doing some things to celebrate and promote that, as well as celebrating like birthday treat day and things like that. So marketing and promotions are something that we are putting effort into to create excitement in our program. So something that we are going to start with here that we haven't seen in maybe some other presentations is our revenue budget. So I'm going to actually start with the NSLP line item. That stands for National School Lunch Program. NSBP stands for National School Breakfast Program. So these are federally funded programs. Right now, we are seeing a pretty generous reimbursement rate from the federal government around National School Lunch and Breakfast. So basically, our budget for fiscal year 23 with National School Lunch Program is based under the assumption that we're going to at least stay consistent with that reimbursement rate, and we are going to incorporate a 2% growth in that around marketing, promotions, and some of the opportunities that we're going to have with this new software that are going to allow us to probably offer a higher variety of options for students. So we're encompassing a 2% growth, and that's why you see an increase for the National School Lunch Program. For the National School Breakfast Program and snack, you're going to see a slight decrease, and that's because, once again, our operation last year was so different than it is this year. So it was a best guess. Breakfasts were being sent home with students, and this year they're eating in the cafeteria, and so it wasn't as high as originally anticipated. I'm going to go back to the first line item, which is Illinois Free State. So basically, we do get some funding from the state of Illinois. However, it's not based on a reimbursement rate like the federal funding. So it's really a best guess in terms of where our current trends are this year. We are anticipating that for next year for the fiscal year 23 budget. So just basically working with the trending numbers that we have. The other thing that I want to point out is the student sales line item. So that's purely a la carte sales. Those are things outside of our National School Breakfast and Lunch Program. So these are things that students can buy extra because our lunch and breakfast are free to all students. So once again, with the operation being very different last year, I think my predecessor took his best guess at what our student sales would be. And we actually just started our a la carte program back in January, so we kind of missed half a year in terms of a la carte. And so based on trend and what we hope to do with the a la carte program, increase options and different choices, we are looking at about $100,000 for next year's budget. So overall, we're staying pretty consistent with last year's budget to our fiscal year 23 for revenue. So then once we move into expenses here, you will see salaries and benefits very similar to transportation. We offered a retention bonus, a perfect attendance bonus, as well as a new hire bonus. Those were actually not a part of fiscal year 22. We do anticipate that 2 of those 3 will remain for fiscal year 23, the new hire bonus and the retention bonus. So we've incorporated those numbers into fiscal year 23, as well as everyone's else, our benefit health insurance increase. The other thing I want to point out is our purchase services. So we'll talk a little bit about this on the contracts page, but basically last year there was a budget for technology and licensing, and that's around the software that I was discussing. And they threw in a budget of about $150,000 because we just weren't sure at that time. And with some more due diligence and research around specific companies, we're not gonna need that much. So it's gonna be lower, as we'll see on the contract page. The other thing I want to point out is our supplies. So this might sound kind of silly, but actually a large chunk of this decrease has to do with our pizza contract. So we did have a pizza contract with Domino's and Papa John's. They can make pizza for us that is compliant with our USDA regulations, and Papa John's actually pulled out of that contract. So we're solely using Domino's now, and that contributes to about half of that pizza budget, which is about $160,000. The other thing is the non-capital expense, which is those new cafeteria tables that I was discussing. We want to increase the budget for that. And capital was once again around the equipment I discussed. So we do want to keep at least $500,000 towards that. And there will also be a portion going towards this new software. We do have to upgrade some of the hardware that's associated with that software. And as you see, we do have a deficit. That was actually on purpose. We put extra funds into cafeteria tables and equipment on purpose because we actually do have a Fund 19 balance that is higher than ISB would like. They like a 90-day expenditure balance, and we have more than that. So we are drawing down on purpose. All right, so into our contracts. So like I discussed, Domino's and Papa John's Pizza, you'll see that $132,000 was dedicated to Papa John's, and we are no longer in contract with them. We are upping Domino's just a bit, but that's kind of the max that we can ask of one company to serve of a district our size. Then moving into Heartland School Solutions, so that's our current point of sale. We're currently paying $16,000 for just the point of sale software. We are going to move away from that, as I mentioned, and get a new software company that's going to encompass a lot more, be a lot more helpful for back of the house as well as front of the house and our parents and students and staff. And we're estimating that's going to be about $66,000 based on the quotes that we've received. The one thing I do also want to point out is GeoStar. They are a preventative maintenance company for our equipment and our kitchen supply, kind of mostly our freezers and coolers, honestly. And during the time that the fiscal year 22 budget was being created, the bid was going on, so we didn't have an exact number yet. $90,000 was the best guess, and it actually came in at 42. So that's where we'll remain for fiscal year 23. And at this time, no new requests for fiscal year 23. And our return on investment, I think we all know that a hungry student is far less productive than a student that's properly nourished. So, of course, we want to provide proper nutrition so that our students can have academic success. So any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Mr. Connor.
Yeah, a couple. Is there support needed by IT for the new POS system, or is that all through website or something?
Yeah, absolutely, and I've been working really, really closely with Jason and Chris. They've attended all of our demos as well as had numerous conversations with me and my team about what systems are going to speak to which systems are going to speak to each other, how student data is going to transfer between the two, and of course our IT security. So they've been really integral parts of that process.
Is that reflected in the budget?
In terms of their support?
Their costs, yeah.
So it will be in the PDSA as an indirect cost.
So it will be indirect costs part of that. Okay. Second thing is on the tables and all that.
Yep.
Just out of curiosity, for those schools, how long have those tables been there, and then what is the replacement cycle typically for the tables?
Very good question. I can't speak too well about the history of the district being only here 4 months. Do we have any idea how long they've been here, Mike?
I'm not sure.
Colleen's predecessor and our operation manager had done a review of all of our tables and had completed a prioritization of all of our schools. Those were the schools that floated to the top of the list that needed to be replaced, and we will continue to go through that list.
Okay, out of curiosity, would that be a part of maintenance lists that we would look at for all schools, just like you do the roof? And
correct.
Yeah. So it would be the same cycle. Okay. And then last, on the pizza side, I got to ask, did we put that actually out for bid, or we only, since we had the two suppliers, we assumed them, or did we go to others?
Yeah, so basically the way I understood the contract is that we put it out with we wanted two vendors in the original bid because we have a large district and they wouldn't be able to kind of maintain the schedule, I guess, that we wanted for our pizza. So we have not gone back out to bid. At this point, Papa John's had just pulled out and we were using Domino's until we look at that again.
Okay, would that be, so that's not this fiscal year, but next?
I'll have to look at the end of that. I don't have the date off the top of my head when that contract ends.
Okay.
Yep.
And do I assume, do we have, like, you mentioned there were certain standards, so do we report on, quality and timeliness and those kinds of things? Okay.
Absolutely. So basically, there are USDA standards in terms of the type of food. So it's like a whole grain rich crust. It has to have a certain amount of cheese on it and things like that. But every time, yes, we receive the pizza, we take temperatures, make sure that it's at proper holding temperature, and make sure, of course, that once we receive it, we are holding it properly as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Anyone else with questions? I have a question. I have two questions. First of all, could you talk to us, somebody must know, where are we at with our contract with the federal government for the free, for free lunches for everyone in the district, all students?
So for about 5 years, we've been CEP, which is basically, with COVID aside, we have offered free breakfast and lunch to all students for about 5 years.
Yeah.
So that's not going away. That's something that we are, that's a part of our federal program, basically. And so we aren't moving away from that. That's something that's continuing.
Okay. I thought there was a sunset on that coming up.
No, there was a sunset on some waivers and some ways that basically the types of meals, the food components that make a meal, there were some waivers and some leniencies around that. But in terms of free breakfast and lunch, that's continuing. That's not like an expiration date.
What does CEP stand for?
It's community eligibility provisions. So it's basically based on the free and reduced percentage of a community. And so our community has a high enough free and reduced percentage rate that we qualify, and it's fortunate that all of our schools fall under that umbrella.
My other one is, you said that you were doing special food days, and I wonder if they're going to be celebrating Pi Day next week.
Pi Day?
Pi Day. It actually was recognized by the House of Representatives back in 2009. And it's 3.14. 3.14, so it's March 14th every year. And so I don't want kids throwing pies, but I wonder if they eat pies. I mean, there's different ways you can celebrate that.
There certainly are. We're celebrating National School Breakfast this week, and then we are also doing St. Patrick's Day with a shamrock cookie. I don't know about pie service in our lunchrooms, but we can revisit it for next year.
You can have a cookie with 314 on it. All right, I was just, a little STEM work there would be coordination. All right.
Sure.
Well, thank you. Anybody have any other questions? All right, seeing none. None more from Mr. Slife, so let's move on. Thank you so much. And welcome. Mr. Rollins, do you have any other follow-up?
Well, I wasn't at the committee of the whole, so I don't know.
Well, there could be follow-up after the committee of the whole. Miss Stanford,
none that I know of.
She's just like been our jack of all trades. Okay, did you have anything? No? Okay, thank you. Then we're going to move on to the consent portion of the agenda, including items previewed by the chairs during the committee of the whole meeting. We will be voting on the following: The consent items: A, payroll, accounts payable, purchase orders, air travel, construction pay request log, the Westview Elementary School roof replacement project, the HVAC and roofing projects at Riverdale Elementary School and West Middle School, a licensing agreement with Kelly Services, the Diligent Corporation Board Docs agreement, the Tier 1 PDSA for Dreambox Learning, and the items under 9, the paper company, the Tier 1 PDSA, the Dialicare telehealth. Also, the consent agenda items from the Governance Committee, which are the meeting minutes from 2/22/22, contract purchase orders, the 22-23 academic calendar, the supplemental savings plan of the Teachers Retirement System of the State of Illinois resolution, the REA amended and restated Memorandum of Understanding for RPS Employer Assisted Housing Program, resolution continuing the Employee Assisted Housing Program for administrators, the following MOUs or Memorandums of Understanding: shift differential pay for RBMA, the Election Day 2022 for RBMA, the Election Day 2022 for the Educational Interpreters Association, the IEA-NEA, the Election Day 2022 for the Educational Office Professionals Association, EOPA, the Election Day for 2022 for the AFSCME Local 692 Council 31, Election Day for the 2022 Local 1275 Council 31, which is transportation, the Election Day 2022 AFSCME Local 3210 Council 31, which is nutrition services, and the one for Local 692 Council 31, by the way, was paraprofessionals. Also, the Freedom of Information log. Is there a motion and a second to approve the consent items?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any items board members would like pulled for separate consideration? Mr. Rollins.
10D.
And any others? Okay, seeing none, I'll ask the coordinator to call the roll on consent items from 8, 9, and 10.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
Mr. Segal?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
The motion passes with 6 yeses, 1 absent.
Thank you. I'll take a motion in a second for 10D, the resolution supplemental savings plan of the Teachers Retirement System of the State of Illinois.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Rollins?
I was just looking for some information, and when will this be rolled out? When and how will it be rolled out to the teachers?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it becomes mandatory for new TRS members July 1, and so we will be rolling out the state supplemental plan July 1. So we're developing communication now. We're finalizing all of the reports in back of the house that the state recommends and has to for file feeds, and then we'll be rolling that out for new teacher orientation as we hire teachers into the district. Because an existing TRS member, it's optional from July 1. If you're brand new to TRS, they will automatically enroll you, and you have 90 days to opt out of the state plan. And so we're creating communication for both our new teachers, but also our existing TRS members.
So it won't take effect until July 1st?
Correct.
Okay. And what's the percentage?
3%.
3%?
Yep.
And you can do that in addition to 403B?
That is correct. The SSP is a 457, and so you can make contributions to 403B outside of that.
All right. Seeing no other lights, I'll have the coordinator call the roll on item 10D as in dog.
Mr. Segal?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
I apologize. Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
The motion passes with 6 yeses, 1 absent.
All right, thank you. We're now on to closed session consent agenda, including the following. 11A, salary adjustment for non-bargaining employees, and B, the HR organizational report and addendum. Items under 12, closed consent for discipline, include the following. 4465 will be expelled for the remainder of the 2021-2022 school year through the entire 2022-23 school year. 4467 is expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4469, the expulsion is held in abeyance contingent upon an expulsion and abeyance agreement for the remainder of the 21-22 school year through the first semester of the 22-23 school year. 4470, the expulsion is held in abeyance contingent upon an expulsion and abeyance agreement for the remainder of the 21-22 school year through the first semester of the 22-23 school year. 4471 is expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year. 4472 is expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year through the first semester of the 22-23 school year. The following EIAs will be upheld: 1097, 1098, 1099, 8425, 8426, 8429, 8434, 8446, 8447, 8448, 8449, 8450, 8451, 8452, 8453, 8454, 8455, 8456, 8457, 8459, 8460, 8461, 8462, 8463, 8464, 8465, 8466, 8467, 8469, 8471, 8472, 8473, 8474, 8475, 8477, 8478, 8479, 8480. Is there a motion and a second to approve the closed session consent items?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any closed session consent items that board members wish to have pulled? Ms. Pearson?
12F and 12G. Thank you.
Ms. Pearson, would you like me to take those together or separate?
Together is fine.
All right. Would the coordinator call the roll on the closed session consent agenda items with the exception of 12F and G?
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
The motion passes with 6 yeses, 1 absent.
Thank you. I will now take a motion and a second to approve the closed session consent items on discipline letters 12F, which is student 4471 expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year, and student at 4472 to be expelled for the remainder of the 21-22 school year through the first semester of the 22-23 school year.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Would the coordinator please call the roll?
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
No.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mrs. McCulloch?
Yes.
Mr. Siegel?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
The motion passes with 5 yeses, 1 no, 1 absent.
Thank you. I would ask the board if they have any further comments or agenda recommendations. Seeing none, I'll take a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed, same sign. We are adjourned at 8:17 p.m. Thank you.